And you'll notice all the external changes come from that internal piece.
Yeah.
I think that's what people should really strive for and really repeat every day. I am at peace. I am here and I'm present, controlling what I can, and I trust God to help me with the rest. And that helped me survive those deepest, darkest days in the hospital and health and all those things, finding peace in the chaos.
Welcome to And Then I Did This. Prepare to be inspired as we celebrate the unique journeys of individuals who've had the courage to break free and live life on their own terms. Their lives prove that you truly can be free to live your best and most authentic life. Let's get to it. Welcome to another show. I have a special guest today, Chris O'Brien. He's an entrepreneur, business owner. He's the host of the Cobcast, where he shares everything you need to know to come out better. He will share a lot more about that, where he shares valuable information on a whole variety of topics. And today I would just love for him to share his journey and his independent thinking to encourage and inspire others to be true to themselves. So Chris, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Great introduction. I love it. It's always nice just to hear little feedbacks of how I impact people and how I share. And hello to everybody watching the replay or the recording or wherever you're tuning in from. I pray you're at peace and everything is good in life, and you take a little deep breath before we get flowing, and we'll see what wants to come out and be shared with the world here. So it's an honor, and I appreciate you having me on the show today. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. Share a little bit about what you're doing now, and then we'll do a rewind back to what got you to the point you're at.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So for the next 3 hours, I'm going to share with you what's going on, because there's a lot, and I've found ways though to take the complex and simplify. So I have this unique gift that I feel like I'm discovering more and more of what God is giving me, is taking very complex, abstract, a bunch of pieces like a puzzle. That's kind of like you throw out a puzzle piece, like, where do I start? Right. Where's the first piece? And we get frustrated, and you kind of zoom out and you're like, man, this is taking me years to figure out. I've noticed that the things that I take in from life experience, information, things online, here learning, like I was telling you earlier, learning from other people and putting it together and making it simple, tangible, and easy. And I think that's what a genius truly is at the end of the day, is taking the complex and making it in a way a 5-year-old can understand. So what I really do in a day-to-day life, one is take care of myself. I think in order for me to pour into other people, we use the analogy, and you've heard it before, of you can't have an empty cup, you can't have leaks or cracks or a glass half full. It's got to be overflowing. So the main priority for me, some may think, is like business or content or podcasts. It's just making sure my mind, body, and soul is right. And so that's taking care of my health, my workouts, my rest, my breaks, my time outside, off the screen, my hobbies, my passions, my mental health, my spiritual health. And then I can get into sharing. And so what I then do after I have a full cup is I love creating content. I love pouring into people. So on my page, Come Out Better on Instagram, that you guys can follow, there's just different ways that I focus on physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial. Those 5 pillars of health. And so with physical health, the biggest thing is helping people improve their hydration. So I'm a big water guy. Water changed my life. The right kind of water came into my life when I was like, 25, 26 years old. I was pretty sick. So I had colitis, acid reflux, and eczema. And all I did was change the type of water I was drinking. And in a few short weeks, months, all that was gone. It's been 10 years. I've maybe been sick one time from food poisoning or a fast that I've done recently. So that was a big aha moment. And then I like to help people with their mindset, really zooming out. I call it when in doubt, zoom out. And so teaching, educating people on mental health, what depression, anxiety, conscious, subconscious patterns and programs that we're able to break through. And then emotional, obviously emotional intelligence. As you know, when people wake up, they're kind of overwhelmed. They're angry, we're stressed out, we're frustrated, and then we get anxious and worried. And, how is the government doing to this? And it's just a lot of emotions come up when you take the red pill. And so what I like to do is help people ground through the way I create content, captions that I write. Before I was censored and banned, lives that I used to do. So now I have the podcast. So I like to ground people in, and I call myself a truth coach. There's so many coaches out there, a business coach, a health coach, a money coach, but like a truth coach, someone out there that can coach people through an awakening without taking their power or having them put me on a pedestal. And so I always tell people I'm right there with you. I'm not above or below. We're side by side. And then the next thing was spiritual connection. I had phases of a spiritual journey, which we can talk like how this all really manifested in 2017 and was my awakening, but really just having having faith. Whatever it is you believe in, there's so many belief systems, religions, programs, and as much as we can argue and shame and talk about those things, as long as you're happy, at peace, you're not harming people, you're kind, you're compassionate, you're caring. I don't care what you I don't care if you believe in that oak tree is everything to you. Like, God bless you. That's great. And then the last pillar is financial health. So I'm big on crypto, big on digital assets and dissolving and learning how to overcome the federal banking system, the legacy system, helping people build business, helping people create income, cash flow, and then investing. And so literally just every day showing up, I just focus on one of those pillars, share value, educate, inform, empower, inspire, give people thought-provoking questions for them to come up with their own answers. I love when people have aha moments.
Right.
That's the greatest thing because now you've created internal, intrinsic motivation, that internal inspiration. Instead of them relying on Chris to motivate or inspire, they can do it themselves. And so I'm really big on questions because every question always has an answer.
Right.
And if you can give people the ability to create the answer themselves instead of tell them, there's a whole different outcome that I've noticed with people I coach, mentor, work with in our community of thousands of people that I'm a part of and help co-create. That's my day-to-day, really filling up my cup, pouring into the world what I've learned, what I've uncovered, my life, wisdom, and experience, and then ways to help people truly empower themselves. And like you said beautifully, to come out better. And as long as I can do that every day, I go to bed happy and I'm at peace. And I thank God for waking me up the next day to live my purpose again and do it again. So it's been an amazing journey. Yeah.
So good and so inspiring. And for anybody out there that's feeling stuck, this is your podcast. Do not leave because we're just getting into it. So talk a little bit about what was the catalyst to you, kind of where did you start and the catalyst to make the shift?
Sure. Yeah. And I feel like everyone has their own timing for their shift, for their death and rebirth, for their phoenix that rises, for their hero's journey, where you go into the underworld and rise and come out better. You go even to the teachings of Jesus. It's like the death and rebirth, the resurrection. It's like every Hollywood movie, all the tales, the stories, just everything has this like downfall and rise. And I think that's how the universe works with the polarities. Instead of, I always say, if you're the same, you're flatlined.
Right.
And nobody likes a flat line when you're sick or in the hospital. You're as good as dead if life's the same over and over. So I always tell people, you don't have to be where I'm at. You may still be waking up now slowly, and that's your pace. That's your timeline. That's your awakening process. We all have our own journey in our timeline. For me, I would say the first blip in my radar, and this is probably a blip that obviously many people go through, which is our health, physical health. You get the diagnosis, you get all of a sudden the back pain or the heart chest pain, or, you break a leg, whatever it is, and your physical health is now taken from you, big or small, acute or chronic. So I was 25 years old. I had just finished playing professional basketball. I was a pro athlete, a Division I college basketball player, all the bells and whistles, like, all right, I'm done playing 9 to 5. The last month I was in Mexico, I had gotten really sick, like I mentioned just a little while ago, and I had certain symptoms I did not know. It was very scary, painful, like I need to go to the doctor. I need to go to the emergency room. And they were giving me certain medications and doing some tests. But because it was Mexico and Spanish, I didn't really get the whole thing, what was happening, because I was in so much pain. I couldn't get out of bed for days. My stomach was hurting so bad. So I come home and my first thought, remember, I'm not awake to pharmaceuticals and doctors. They're, in my opinion, the saviors, right? They're there to take care of me. I go to them for help. That's how I was raised, and that's how many of us are. So I go there, and they do tests, and they tell me, Chris, you have symptoms of ulcerative colitis, which you'll have for the rest of your life. You have acid reflux, almost GERD, which has the acid buildup. These rashes, you have eczema, and we're going to give you hydrocortisone steroid creams for that. We're going to give you antibiotics for your gut. And your allergies, you just can't eat certain foods anymore. You can't be around certain animals anymore. And your inflammation and pain, we just recommend daily doses of Tylenol and ibuprofen.
Oh my God.
Right? So I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, yeah, you'll probably be on this regimen for many years, maybe your life, but it's okay. We're here for you. We'll do tests and monitor it. And I'm like, and I don't know. And I wasn't awake, but something in my soul was like, no, hold on. Wait a minute. Okay. Because I was eating clean. I was an athlete. I was a personal trainer. I had the whole macros, the meal plans. So I was
Right.
like, my diet's good. Sure, I party on the weekends. I was 25, having fun,
Right.
whatever. Take my vitamins, my supplements.
Right.
Like I'm working out every day.
Wow. All the right things.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why? How? And so, long story short, a friend of mine, her name is Jilly, she had her own health scare. She had ovarian cysts that were cancerous. So, endometriosis, like, for women.
Right. Yes.
And she went and got a laparoscopy and they said, hey, this is bad. Like, you're getting to a point where this could really affect you or not kill you, but like, you got to do
Right.
something. And she
Right.
had the same thing. She was like, no, that was her wake up. And so a friend of hers said, hey, you should try this water. And this is where it gets crazy. And she's like, well,
Mm.
what do you mean water? Because, water.
Right.
We
Right.
all drink water. Come on. It's like, yeah, this water's different. It's medical water from Japan. And they use this to help people there. And we've been helping people here overcome a lot of things. No guarantees, but might as well try it. And Jilly was like, sure, heck, I can drink water. A couple weeks later, a month later, she's been drinking it. She goes back for a laparoscopy for one more checkup before like surgery. If they go that route,
Right.
all gone. All their cysts, all the cancer was gone. And the doctor said, what did you do? And she literally looked at him and said, I drank a different type of water. It's like an alkaline water. I don't know.
Right.
And the doctors laughed at her. They literally told her to leave, never come back.
No.
And don't ever play us again type thing. Yeah. So that was her wake up, right? So now I come home sick. I tell her my experience and she's like, try this water. My stubborn head goes, no, that's the stupidest thing. I have Brita water. If it's water would work, the doctor would tell me, right?
Right.
They don't know this stuff. They were in America, not Japan. And so for 8 months I was sick, and I'll condense this story, but it is pretty profound.
Yeah.
For 8 months I was sick, still had the pain, taking some medications. I was like, God, okay, Tylenol, whatever, because I didn't believe it.
Right.
Nothing was changing. So I was like, hey, Jilly, can you bring me a couple gallons? She left it on the front door, and that was the greatest decision I ever made. And that first day I started chugging, and the water was different. It was easier to drink. I was going to the bathroom. Sorry to detail. I was like, Jilly, there's stuff coming out of me that's kind of scary. She's like, oh, you're cleansing. I'm like, cleansing? I've never seen water cleanse me. Like stuff that I was passing probably from colitis, shapes, colors, and sizes. And I was going and going.
Wow.
But I felt every time I went, I felt like I had just lost another layer of pain. And then I slept 13 hours the second night, slept through 3 alarms, missed clients. I'd never been in such a deep sleep. The pillow was stuck on my face.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was petting a cat and I wasn't sneezing. And I'm like, Jilly.
Wow.
So all these things are happening in weeks. And then a couple months later, I go to the doctor. Everything is better. I didn't go that route. And that was my wake up. So long story short, that was my red pill, was my health. I call it the purple pill. It's like the red and the blue pill. I still believe doctors were fine. They're just doing their job. Governments, whatever.
Right.
Those aren't clouds. I haven't got there.
Right.
A couple of years later, I believe that the water I was drinking created an environment in my body for my soul to come back online.
Oh, wow.
That was my personal opinion. So in 2017 December, I had an out of body experience. I had the night before I was partying again. I was still having fun. I was 27, 28. I forget how old I was. Wake up, I open my eyes, and I don't know, you probably maybe experience or know. So in sleep paralysis, where you're awake, but you can't move.
Oh,
it's terrifying. Like imagine, I don't know what's going on. I'm laying there blinking and I can't move my arms or legs. I can't sit up. And I'm kind of like, I thought I was dreaming, but I had no connection to my body. Within seconds, I'm now on the roof looking at my body. I'm out of body.
Oh my God.
And I don't know what's going on. No one's told me this. I've never meditated. I don't know what astral project. I don't know any of this stuff that I learned later. Come back into my body. Apparently 3 hours went by. Pull out my phone just to go on social media. Don't follow these pages. I follow this page pops up telling me who Barack Obama really is.
Oh,
I'm like, what is this?
Gosh.
Like, why does this make sense? And you start scrolling.
Right.
It's like God, the universe, or the algorithm put this feed randomly on my page. And for 3 hours, I'm scrolling and I'm having a mental breakdown. I go to the beach and start crying. And I look around and I think nobody knows what I just saw. I'm like, everything's a lie. Food's a lie. big pharma, what's acid, what's chemo, how does this work? And so that was my awakening. And then 3 months, I'm going to write a book one day.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
inspiration. 3 months later, my dad gets diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
3 months later. And those 3 months before he got diagnosed, I was spending hours a day learning about acid, alkaline, Dr. Sebi, plant-based, mushrooms, fasting, detox, CBD. It was like I was being downloaded. Like
right.
God came online within me and I wasn't looking for it. I was
That's
just coming in. Like I was getting
wow.
like a voice, whispers. And if I didn't hear
Hmm.
it, it would shout at me, like you said before we chatted.
Yeah.
So I was like, why is my dad sick? And then again, same thing. He did the pharmaceutical route, but he had his own experience on the water. His first month drinking it, same like me, resistant to it, didn't want to drink it. And then he did an inch round of chemo to see how his body would feel because he had AML, which is very acute, aggressive leukemia, so they say. And he went
Oh,
full remission in a month,
oh my
just being on
gosh.
the water, a gallon a day. Full remission. The doctor said, you're totally fine. You can go home. But then they call him up and say, hey, Tim, looking at your results, we would still recommend doing chemo because if it
Oh,
comes back, it'll have a vengeance.
oh
Word quote
God.
unquote. I remember this black magic
That's
these doctors would say,
so,
you could have it come back and the cancer will be more mean. Like it
oh,
would have a vengeance, like it had a consciousness. When my
oh,
dad heard that, he immediately said, yeah, let's do it. I trust you.
oh
And I
no.
broke down. I got on my knees. I begged him, Dad, you don't need to go back. Big Pharma, this is not here. Like, look at these chemotherapy documents. He wouldn't read it. He
Oh
would just
no.
give the power to the doctors. And I don't blame him. I blamed him, but I don't anymore because that was just the program. And I
The
was going up against, he
brainwash.
was a 65-year-old health teacher.
Oh,
He's the healthiest guy on paper, but then internally with maybe emotions, I don't
right.
know. There's so many
Yeah.
things. I always wonder why he got sick. And then for the next following years, I'm literally online on Come Out Better, teaching what I'm learning, put the phone down, drive to UCLA to sit with my dad being pumped with chemo, just
Oh,
being there for him while I read books about pharmaceutical.
oh,
Doctors at the big pharma actually asked me if I was pre-med because they would bring medications and I would ask them and question them and like, why are you giving them
exactly.
that? That dose is too high. Hey, I just learned that's a cytotoxin. How does that going to help his liver? And they just
Right.
box it up and they walk out. I
Wow.
have so much that I recorded and saved and documented about big pharma. It was literally the devil's playground
Oh,
where
God.
I don't think people don't go there to live. They go there to die.
No,
They go there to
exactly.
die. And I saw it. And they would threaten him. They would tell my dad, hey, don't go outside. You can get an infection and die. So he never
Oh,
grounded. He never went to the beach again. He stayed
no.
inside.
No
And the doctors,
sunlight.
they would just pump him with all the fear. So while I was rising and helping people, right,
Right.
my best friend father was dying. And I would
Oh,
just go like this
jeez.
for about 2.5 years.
Oh my
I built a
God.
business. I built built a brand. I built a community. I was doing coaching. And then
Right.
as soon as I got offline, I had to go into hell and just be there with him. And
Oh,
most people don't know that story. And that's where I came out
wow.
better. I truly died with him. And then seeing him die in front of me from sepsis, because I think it was a medical error doing a
That's,
test on him when he was pretty weak and depleted from the meds and chemo. That's just why I show up every day. I don't want people dying. I don't want
no.
people being lied to. I don't want people to not think they have options or choices. There's so much more to that story. That's just like a summary of it. But that is why I share what I share,
Wow.
why I'm as loud as I am. Because I could call it quits and I'm set for life financially. I'm good.
Right.
Like I'm happy. I can
Right.
just get off social media and be gone. But there's people, like you said, that need help,
Right.
just need some guidance or a foundation or like a grounding presence, whether it's masculine or feminine, to help them.
Right.
Because the closest person to me, I was trying to help, but I don't know how much he took on and did. I was just going to make sure no one else had to experience that either. So that's why I share
Right.
what I share. That's the
Oh,
phoenix rising from the ashes. I've died over and over. I've been in hell for a long time and I came out better. And that's why I believe anybody can. Whether they're
yeah.
stuck or not, wherever they're at in their life, there is a best is yet to come method to the madness, I always
Yeah,
say.
absolutely. That's an amazing story
Pretty
and
intense.
just like reality of what life can be, and waking up and realizing you can make a difference. Like there are people that need inspiration and need guidance. And I think I heard someone say sometimes others can borrow your light and you can share your light until their flame is strong enough to stand on their own.
There you go.
And people get locked and stuck in the corporate roles or doing work that they don't feel good about, or they're just rinse and repeat week after week, Monday dread, Sunday whatever, getting ready for the week and don't even want Monday to come. That's not living life. So yeah, your story of that and vacillating and going between those two realms, walking through that puts a whole different definition and explanation to come out better.
Exactly. Yeah, because I look back and I don't even know how I did it. And it's cool you use that analogy because my dad's favorite saying when he was a coach and a teacher, and what he would tell me is called light 'em up. Like shine so bright that it would actually light someone else's light up. And I actually have a picture that says, you never lose someone because the light they brought to the world, I forget the exact quote, was able to literally ignite the light in other people.
Yes.
And that's all he wanted to do. But he did it so much that his light eventually went out. But he impacted thousands of people. He was just, more secluded and private about it. So that's great. You tapped into that. That's so spot on.
I think that the journey of getting to and, walking through the life and death situations like that gives you a different perspective.
Yes. That was it. And then I look back, I'm like, how was I able to show up? Because, I've talked to people whose mom is sick and they had to stop everything. Right. And I did too. Like when he was diagnosed, I went 10,000 in debt. I stopped posting. I stopped training. I stopped going to the gym. I lost a lot of weight. I stopped everything. I was fasting because I was just so emotionally exhausted of being there with him. And I look back, I'm like, how did I do that? And yet at the same time, I created a 6-figure business. I was coaching people for hours a day. I was posting every day. I literally didn't miss a day of posting for the years he was recovering. Wow. And so I have this sympathy, but also this kind of no excuses mentality. If I could do this, your kid threw up on the carpet and now your day's ruined.
Right.
Come on. Or you had a bad argument with your spouse last night and now you can't do anything all week because you're so down.
Right.
You have the compassion, sure, but that's where I'm learning how to call people forth, not call them out, but call them forth. Things could be a lot worse. Our problems aren't really problems. There's bombs flying over people in other places. There's homeless people that haven't eaten in 4 days and are dying of malnutrition in different countries. Right. Those are problems.
Right.
The problems we have, missing an exit, late to a meeting, post doesn't go viral. That's where I really am getting louder and just reminding people that you're taking a small splinter and turning it into an amputation in your life. And you're creating this self-induced, I call it indirect suicide. You're choosing to create more pain and suffering, where I had to stop choosing it because I knew that if I were to create more of that, I couldn't be there for the people that needed me most or for myself. You know what I mean? So I think there's that balance of compassion, but also being direct and calling out the patterns. You got to pattern interrupt people in a gentle way. And sometimes people don't know how to do that because it can be aggressive. You can have masculine wounds or the fear of speaking the truth or being direct. And then those that do are the ones that get attacked, that get projected on and kind of labeled. And I went through all these things just as my brand was growing, my influence, my voice was getting louder. But with that came amazing lessons of other people, of what people are going through, their traumas, their trigger points. And that showed me about mine. And that's why it was kind of like a total dance in this whole process that I always still to this day reflect from 2018 to 2020, those years of his life that like you said, that's coming out better. That's what come out better is. We all can do it. It's not my brand. It's just a way of living. Like you said, if you're stuck, if you're in an ebb, a funk, perfect, amazing. There's so much wisdom. There's so many lessons you'll get there. Not just a podcast or a book or a blog or a social media 1-minute reel. I always say those things, third party your life's wisdom of your trial and error. That's why it makes sense what you go through instead of ignoring what you're in, seeking the external to figure it out with your left brain to get confirmation. But as soon as you're done with the book, you're back where you started.
Right.
Where if you let yourself feel, rise up, acknowledge what are the
Yes.
benefits, sit with, cry, process, nervous
Right.
system, the stuff that people, that's the work.
Yep.
Then when you listen to our podcast here, now it
Yep.
makes sense.
Right.
Now it makes sense. But I think people miss that step and try to leave
Exactly.
themselves to find something that makes sense.
Right.
But it's like the Band-Aid. You're going to come back and you're back to where you started. So I had to
Yes.
acknowledge that process. And that's definitely
Yeah.
how I came out better too.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah. And I
wisdom
mean,
I gained. A lot of wisdom. I feel like I'm 100 years old in a 35-year-old body just from
right.
life experience itself. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the great thing is you've chosen to embrace it and
Yeah.
integrate it and use it to
Yeah.
your benefit. What came to me was calling people into their greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And not shrinking into, oh, this thing happens. So that I say we're meaning making machines. So this thing happens. So that must mean this is the way the rest of the
Sure.
day is going to go. Or that happened. So I must not be supposed to leave my job right now, even though I'm miserable and getting whatever ulcers from it. You know, with the stories we tell ourselves, people have so much more potential and greatness within themselves
Right.
than they give themselves permission to realize. And sometimes, again, back to the light, we have to hear other people reflect it back
Yes.
to us.
Yes.
And then we can start to embrace it within ourselves.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you think about it, the more, that's why for those listening, social media, I love it as a tool. Whether you build a business, use it to sell a product or service, or just have fun, share photos, whatever it is. But I think the most amazing part about social media, I always like to look at the pros before diving into what isn't good about social media,
Right.
is it's just an outlet where you can actually, like you said perfectly, learn from other people's stories.
Right.
And the more stories you hear, and that's why storytelling, right? They say it's one of the highest paying skills. Like
Right.
Harry Potter, Lord of the, it's all stories. These influencers, Tony, all these guys
Yep.
all have incredible stories because
Yep.
the stories is where you can actually relate to it. And so I think the more people are vulnerable enough, and it takes time. It's not easy to be vulnerable online to strangers or to people you don't know or family or
Right.
friends that may judge you and a lot of things. But as you do that, and then you also tune into people opening up about their journey, you have instant correlation. And now you do feel better about processing it. It's kind of like the
Right.
herd mentality. Like the more people you hear
Yeah.
doing this, the better you feel about doing it. And so I think that's why social
Exactly.
media is such a good tool too. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
spot on. Definitely sharing more about that. You learn so much and you feel more connected to
Yeah.
other people, which is what people really crave, connection.
And it's interesting when I think of what you were just sharing about people feeling vulnerable or not wanting to share, concerned about sharing something. And I think of, because I produce a couple other podcasts and I know the guests, I will tell them this
Yeah.
isn't about you.
Sure.
This is about who you're helping on the other end and who's listening. So get out of your, I don't say it this way, get out of your ego. Like, don't worry about yourself. Think more about what this other person's going to benefit in hearing what it is that you're sharing.
Yeah.
Because we're all trying to figure, there's no instruction manual that any of us get when we come on this planet. So we learn as we go. And I always say, mistakes aren't mistakes. They're lessons. If you look at them that way, it's a matter of what direction you look at the glass half full, glass half empty, and don't hang your hat on, oh, this happened, so I'm just stuck. I know that someone I had spoken with earlier that I had mentioned is talking about feeling stuck in people who are stuck in a corporate role or feeling stuck in a job and not knowing, to the point of, and I can relate to this because I felt this when I was leaving my role, the last role I was in New York, where if someone were to ask me, like, are you on your path?
Yeah.
Or I would say, I'm going to be leaving. Like, oh, well, so many people would love to be in your role, and they can have it. When I said, am I on my path? I'm not sure where the road is. I'm so out of touch with myself. I need to reintegrate myself. And ultimately, that's what I wound up doing when I initially left that agency role. So I always say people who are in corporate roles, you can either look at what you're currently doing as seed funding for your freedom, your ticket to freedom, and do the quiet quitting or whatever you're going to do, like just enough that you don't get on the radar, but use it to fund your step out and give yourself an expiration date. Because if people don't give themselves one, the universe will give you one.
Yes.
Yeah,
very, very good.
Right?
Yeah. And when you said the word stuck a few times, and I'm a big junkie on language, actually have, this is my favorite book. I'll hold it up for your audience. It's called Conscious Language.
Oh,
So
good.
I've read this book. I'm starting it again over 18 times.
Wow.
This saved my life. This saved my life because if you hear my story I just shared, if
Yes.
my language didn't change about that
Yes.
story, there's no trending chart going up from the
Right.
down. That's why
Right.
that's why the ebb and flows is hard for people, because people will go down and then the most common thing they do is have thoughts or they speak.
Right.
50 thoughts a day.
Yep.
90% negative, 95% repeat every day.
Yep.
So if you put it on a chart, you are trending always down. You may have a good day, but you're trending down.
Exactly.
And so once I changed my language, I would have a kind of a low day, but I would trend up quickly because I would change the words I was using. So when you said the word stuck, usually when I hear a word repeated multiple times, that means for some people, they have associated a word with a picture. They've associated a word with an emotion.
Yeah.
They've associated a word with an outcome. They've associated a word with a trauma. One word, 5 letters, STUCK, 5 letters can trap you for 10 years. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
And so I look at the word stuck. And for those listening, if you are stuck, what would be the upgrade, right? Because the book has upgrades. So it gives you sentences the collective typically uses, and then it upgrades them. And when you read the upgrade, you can feel it in your body. You can feel like a quantum shift of your nervous system relaxes, your blood pressure slows down, your heart rate starts to balance. You feel as if you get aligned, like you just did a little plant hop-based ceremony. You're like, you're in, because it's the words we use, right? In the beginning was the word. It's biblical. There's scriptures. There's hundreds of Bible verses in the Conscious Language book. So I asked people, what would you say? I'll kind of put you on the spot. What would be an upgrade for the word stuck for somebody? If they cancel cleared stuck, what word could they replace it with?
Well, in transition.
Transition, great. What else?
Morphing.
Beautiful. What else?
Becoming.
Think of the word stuck. If someone's stuck, are they moving?
Unstuck.
Right? What about this? Replace those 5 words with PAUSE. Just a pause. You're not stuck. You just have a little pause right now.
Right.
So when you pause something, now there's different visuals, right? You pause a video game to go to the bathroom, take a break.
Right.
You pause reading your book, put the bookmark, come back later, go for a walk.
Right.
That's great. That's amazing. You're giving yourself time. You're honoring a break. So you see all of a sudden, cancel, clear, stuck, upgrade to pause.
Right.
I'm just in a pause right now before the next amazing thing coming.
Right.
If you start repeating that, literally the greatness will be right there. And so I coach a lot and I teach a lot of people with language and how simple word swaps can create a whole new reality, instead of feeling like they have to do a diet change, a workout change, meditations for hours, go to these seminars for weeks. But if they come home and use the same language, what really changed? Because we speak 10 to 20,000 words a day.
Exactly.
The collective exchanges over 5 trillion words like every moment. That's our reality, is the words that we use. And think of all the words you speak, right? How many people are negative, the news, can't, won't, couldn't, shouldn't, try, maybe, kind of, hopeful, doubtful, I don't know, hope. All these words go nowhere.
Exactly. Well,
and you can't build upon them. Instead of will, can, choose, choice, here, is, no, like these words, if you did, I always tell people, kind of like, what's going on with our government. If you do an audit of your language, most people are broke. Their language is broke.
So true.
That's it. So if I just put a microphone on you all day, and I used AI to gather all the words you used, and I typed in a prompt that says, locate all the try words. Every time Lorraine said try, how many times? If I had AI locate all the times that you said kinda or hopefully, can't, don't, should, need, have to. And I put all that and gave you that data, and it said you said those words 587 times. Can you imagine if you placed all of them?
Yeah.
And if you did that for a few days, your blood pressure, your hormones, this is my belief. Right? Your cholesterol levels, your minerals, your cellular function, your mitochondrial health, your nervous system, your brain waves, what state you're in. I believe all those change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't have to do anything else.
Absolutely.
So the words literally will build life, right? or they'll cut
Right.
you down. It's like they say
Absolutely.
the two things we're ruled by our tongue, the words we
Right.
speak, and then the temptations, the foods,
Exactly.
like the cravings, the indulgences, like the
Right.
guilts, the vices that we seek.
Right.
And if you can conquer those two, everything else is conquerable.
Yep.
Just a
I'm on
just a little nugget
same.
of language I have to share.
Yep.
It's literally one of my big pieces that come out better, and I want to
Yeah.
share more of it too. Because every time I do, people really go, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I've been saying the same sentence for 19 years."
And the other thing I think people don't realize also, which because I'm on the same page with you with
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
that we learn how to spell when we're in
yep,
school
yep,
and words cast spells.
exactly.
So we are spelling everything we say, everything we write. And when I became a life coach, when I was in New York at the New York Open Center, and one of the phrases that I picked up then that I just live by is trying is lying. You either
Very good.
do it or you don't do it. And
Yeah,
so,
Yoda. Shout out Yoda. Should have listened to the little guy. Do or do not. There is no try. He was really
right,
telling us. That's great.
exactly. And then I always say, stop shitting on yourself because,
That's
coulda,
okay.
woulda, shoulda. Like,
Stop
there's no
shitting on
point.
yourself. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's great.
So our words have so much power, and
Yes.
we either lift ourselves up
Yes.
or rain on our own parade without even realizing that we're doing it. So yeah, I'm with you there all the way with
Yeah.
language.
That's the word detox because
Right?
it's not a big thing talked about. Right? They said meditation, hypnosis, fasting,
Right.
plant medicine, like all these things. Oh, save up
Right.
money, start a business. It's like you could do all those things, yet if your word bank, that
Right.
10,000, they say women speak more than men, 15 to 20,000. Men a little hold more in and don't speak as much,
Right.
but men speak around 10,000. They found in
Right.
doing research that if you just think, if you can really master 80, 90% of those and upgrade a few things,
Right.
like you can have profound shifts in your life with anything, right? If you're depressed,
Right.
if you're anxious, and it's hard because you want to say it. I say want, you need to, and I say need, but you have this
You
feeling.
want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then the body, though, that's where the other part of the conscious language upgrade is. Sometimes it is not just only what you say, it's what you feel.
Right.
Some people have
Absolutely.
certain, emotional channels that allow them to
Right.
feel differently than others. I don't know how
Right.
much you know about human design. That's
Yeah.
another
Yep.
big pillar I
Yep.
love to dive into
Hmm.
too, is there are certain channels and energy centers in people that need to process emotions in order to heal. Some people
Right.
don't have those channels. And so when you say,
Hmm.
hey, feel it,
Right.
like there's nothing comes up. And so it's important, like you mentioned, we're all very similar, yet we also have these unique traits that allow us to process, to break down, to
Right.
inform, to feel, to manifest, to transmute. And so if you're listening to this, just be aware of blanket statements, because like you said, it's all about self-mastery and finding
Right.
what resonates, what works, what sounds good, what feels good to you in all those
Yeah.
different ways. So yeah,
Yeah.
language is so
And,
important. It's great.
and there, and there's another book too that I'll mention, whether you've heard of it or not, but
Yeah.
for anybody listening to, called the I Am Discourses. I mean, the book
No.
was written in 1935.
Write it down.
And the essence of it is that as soon as we say the words I am, the universe waits to hear what we're going to say. So people will
Sure.
say, oh, I am sick. I am
Mhm.
exhausted. I am. And if we realize and catch ourselves, and even if we're overcoming a thought pattern,
Yeah.
just that thought comes in, say, thank you, not today.
Mm.
And shift it to, I am in the process of healing.
Amazing. Yeah.
But the focus of that was, is just so powerful once we realize that we're creators, as you know, we're creating our reality every minute, every thought. Are we lifting ourselves up or breaking ourselves down and holding ourselves back?
Yeah, and like a muscle at first, it's hard, it's heavy. Riding a bike, you
Right.
fall. So when you start getting people to start speaking in these upgrades, in the book, they say, if you say something like that, they say, cancel clear,
Yeah.
I am upgrading to blank. So it's
Good.
like a computer, right? Like control, alt,
Yes.
delete, 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 cancel. It says
Absolutely.
cancel clear. So instead of like, hey, I'm trying to figure it out, I can't do it right now, cancel
Exactly.
clear. I'm open to making this simple and I am
Yes.
open to making this fun.
Right.
The next
Yes.
day, someone sends them an email. Here's your free PDF that you were asking how
Right.
to go viral on Instagram because you said it was so hard and I'm trying.
Right.
So it's like cancel, clear, and then upgrade to, and that's like, yeah, the whole computer programming, which is just
Yes.
literally exactly what you just said.
Yes.
Powerful. But give yourself grace if you're listening. At first, you'll have resistance because we get addicted. Like in food, we can get addicted to language. We
Exactly.
can get addicted to I don't have the money.
Right.
I've been saying that for 12 years. I can't afford it. That's expensive.
And guess what? The universe is like, yep, you just
Yeah.
said that. Here you
Yeah.
go.
And it's like we get addicted. That's our baby. Don't take my kid.
Yes.
This is my safe space. This is allows me to stay comfortable and stay small. So at first, when you say, "Hey, I'm calling in abundance," like I can do this. Like I
Yes.
can't afford this, and how do I make this happen? It
Yes.
sounds natural for me. For some people, you may start to cry. You may
Right.
start to like cough. You may tighten up or pull back. But that just notice that's your nervous system all of a sudden trying to break free or may not feel
Yes.
safe because you're literally, like you said, it's a whole energy and a vibration that comes out
Yeah.
to create a whole new reality around you. So
It's
just have grace if you're listening. Give yourself grace in the process. It's not an overnight. It took me months, if not years, to really upgrade, audit, and improve a lot of the things that I was saying out loud, but mostly to myself, within
right.
myself. That's the
Right.
biggest dialogue. The stuff nobody can hear except you.
Right.
That's the
Right.
most important upgrade. And then once you get that, then start speaking it out, because as you speak it out, you then hear it from yourself.
Right.
Now, when you hear it, your subconscious mind hears it. If you don't speak it out, nobody hears it. You don't hear it. You just literally repeat it, and it's stuck in
Right.
that neocortex monkey brain loop
Right.
that will not. People go crazy, man. They just go
Right.
crazy. And it's like, how do we quiet that? I say, you don't have to quiet your monkey mind. You don't have to quiet the ego. Upgrade it. Work
Right.
with it. Make it
Right.
your friend. Make it your ally instead of demonize it or it's the enemy or shut it up or no, you're not a part of me. Like there is gold in both ways. And so that was another thing that really helped me, was to create an alliance with
Yeah.
myself inside and
Yeah.
work as if I was on my own team with myself and God and the
Right.
universe. And that changed because, I can be a teammate instead
Right.
of like a combatant or an enemy, so to speak. The enemy is somewhere out there, but it's also in us too. So
Yeah.
those are just things to consider when you're upgrading your language. Be kind
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
yourself. Have grace. Have
Right.
grace. Well,
Right. I know that. And there's another one. If you can write down the repetitive thoughts that we have, write them down, and then read them and say, would you talk to a friend like that?
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once you see, the way that we talk to ourselves, sometimes we would never
Yeah,
say those things to another person, but they can become habitual. Just,
exactly.
just like the programming we get before we're,
Yeah.
0 to 7 into our teen years.
Yep.
Some of those phrases will stick with people their entire lives. So we have to constantly, not have to,
Yeah.
it's wise to continue readjusting and upgrading
100%.
the
And
language.
that's what I think the Matrix is. People say, "Oh, the Matrix, the government, it's like the mind control." It's like, well, if we can all agree, and this is my belief, that heaven on earth is when you have peace of mind. Right? When the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep throughout your whole day, not perfect, best we can, things will
Right.
happen. You'll get tested. Life won't always be sunshines. You got to have the ebbs and flows. Yet if you can have more moments, minutes, seconds, thoughts, words, actions, emotions, and feelings, be in that higher state, and your mind is at peace, your nervous system is calm, your spirit is in alignment, I think that you broke out of the matrix. Sure, it matters, but not as much as it would about your money, your health, your status, because if there's the peace within, the health will match the peace, right?
Yes.
The money will match that inner peace.
Yeah.
That's why I always say, like, my biggest goal in life is not to be a billionaire or to own companies or solve world hunger, because I can't do any of those things if I have no peace within myself. So it's got to be through my language. That's why, fill my cup up, emotional regulations, handle my stuff, sit with it, be open, process it, and then get back to that peace. And the more I'm at peace every single day, I notice that everything's so peaceful around you. That's all your brain will. It's like your brain will just find the things that align with that inner peace. Next thing you know, like, oh, my dog's not barking as much. Like, oh, my kids aren't screaming at all today. Why? They usually go crazy at like 4 o'clock. And it's like, well, my wife's not upset because I burned the food. Usually she gets mad at me, or like, my boss gave me a pat on the back. He's never done that in 2 years. And you'll notice all the external changes come from that internal peace.
Yeah.
I think that's what people should really strive for and really repeat every day. I am at peace. I am here and I'm present, controlling what I can, and I trust God to help me with the rest. And
Yes.
that helped me survive those deepest, darkest days in the hospital and health and all those things, finding peace in the chaos. And that was
Right.
another big pillar for me too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. And everyone needs that now, especially,
Yeah,
especially. So
exactly.
what words of advice would you have for people who are feeling stuck or they're, that word,
Yeah,
not in movement, not
sure.
sure, know that they would like to be doing something else, but they're
Yeah.
not sure what to do? What advice would you have for them to get started?
Yeah. Well, if I was them, because I don't know if it's a gift or it's just something through experience. I like to hop consciousness like
Mm,
into people, into myself.
mhm,
And I don't know how I do this. I don't know if everyone else can, but if
mm,
I was them and I'm listening to this, and there's a guy named Chris on here speaking, I kind of knew what he was going to say, yet I don't know for sure what I would want to hear. Because I go, what would I want to hear before I say,
mhm.
here's what I have to say?
Right.
Here's what I have to say is Chris saying. What I
Mhm,
want to hear is now someone else wanting to hear. So my message comes from that part. What
mhm,
would someone want to hear that would help
mhm.
them as if I were
Right.
them? Instead of,
Mm,
here's what I have to say, here's what I believe, here's what you should do.
right. Perfect.
I personally don't align with that type of
Mm,
delivery. And I think that's
mhm.
why people do resonate a lot with how I speak and how I share and communicate. Communication is so important. You get your
Mhm.
language, your words, right?
Yep.
And you get your delivery, your communication skills, and then
Yep.
you put the energy and emotion with it. Now you can literally, with the way you use your voice, can move energy in people. So with all that said, first thing I would say is just be aware of how fast your brain, specifically your left brain, because we have two brains, the
Mhm,
right and the left, not hemispheres, two
mhm,
separate brains,
mm.
not one brain cut in half, two separate brains. Be aware of how fast and how quick your left brain will label something, will associate it to a story, will
Mm,
tie it to a pattern, will recognize it as a past experience of an emotion going
mhm,
backwards in linear time. Be aware of when your left brain labels it in order to compare to other people, giving you
mhm,
lack. Be
mhm.
aware of your brain labeling, feeling this stickiness or stuckness or lower ebb as declaring you're a victim of life, therefore you are
Mhm.
losing. And I can
Mm.
go on and on. Like there's
Right.
all sorts of narratives that the left brain will create to justify being trapped and stuck.
Right.
So the first thing that I did that helped me, that can help other people, is literally say, it's okay to be this way. It's okay
Mm,
in this moment. It's all good. There's no
mm,
shame here. I'm not a bad person. There's no guilt. There's
mhm,
nothing that I've done. There's just this feeling within because there is an emergence like the caterpillar,
mhm,
right? Coming out of the cocoon, it turns into mush. Nobody would want to look at it. It's ugly. It's nasty. Smells funky. It's hiding in a little cocoon away from the
mhm.
world. Yet it's okay. Like you got it. The
Right.
God had to say, hey, caterpillar, it's okay to turn into nothing. It's okay to be
Right.
like the caterpillar stuck in mush forever. I don't know how long they incubate.
Right.
God designed that perfectly.
Right.
So if we were always on fire, if we were always thriving, if we were always growing and always creating and
Mhm.
riding the unicorn and yeah, peace of mind, like we said, all the time, 24/7, is that really good? Is
Right.
that actually the best? Some will
Mm,
argue, yes, that's amazing. Like we're going there, 5D, like amazing. Well, in order to acknowledge and love those aspects
mhm.
of not being stuck, of being free, liberated, at
Right.
peace, you have to love that the way you love those things. Million
Yeah.
dollars, a family, heart open, compassion. People love that feeling.
Right.
Can you bring that same love to these moments?
Right.
And when I started falling in love with being stuck, like, this is amazing. I can actually breathe. I can actually
Right.
stop my life that hasn't stopped for 10 years and actually look in the mirror and say, we're here. And
Right.
okay, I don't know where to go next. And that's perfect because God's driving.
Right.
I'm not the driver. I'm in the passenger seat. And for this whole time, I was trying to lean over it and force the drive. And God's
Right.
just saying, just stop. Just stop. Put your hands in your pocket. Like put your seatbelt on and just chill. We're pulling over for a minute.
Right.
When you're driving
So
on the
good.
freeway going somewhere and you pull over, it's not a bad thing. You might get a flat tire. Perfect. Maybe that flat tire saved you from an accident coming up a
Right.
mile away.
Mhm.
Right. So there's like, it's like you said, the perception and perspective of everything is what we really make our life.
Yeah.
So you can be stuck And if your perception is your left brain labeling it with all of these stories and labels that aren't really you, it's probably someone else, like you said, programming growing up,
Right.
news, parents, friends, expectations, all of these things, then yes, you will be stuck there. And that's okay too. There's wisdom there. There's medicine. There's gold everywhere you look. So first, it's okay. Number two, it's actually a good thing. Number three, you're going to get so much benefit from it. You're going to get so much wisdom you can't get anywhere else. Number four, there is going to be something coming that is the opposite of what you're in, that is so great that you will really appreciate that when you actually appreciate the ebb or the stuck or the negative dark place you're in now.
Right.
And that's how the universe works. But if you fight it, label it, resist it, hate on it, worry about it, guilt trip it, resent it, shame it, you'll be stuck in this purgatory, right? This eternal unpeace of mind.
Right.
And so when good thing does happen, you'll default back to that mode. And so just accepting that the universe works in these polarities, there's always a positive to the negative, the push to the pull. It's a beautiful concept. And that helped me actually embrace the ups and downs in life. Because then I say, when in doubt, zoom out. You can go like this all the time.
Right.
But if you zoom out, you're literally going up and down while going up.
Right.
And I think people think when they're down, they're actually going down. But really, if you zoom out and look back a year or two from now, you're way different. You got more money. You've done more good things. You can label a lot of good things you've done. You just got so fixated on a that's why I love crypto and money. You get so fixated on a chart and you're zoomed in. And if you show 100 people like, oh, you're down, you're in the red. But when you zoom out, you're $1,000 higher than you were last year.
Right.
So just zoom out too. So those are just my tips. There's so many amazing ways and things that come of it. At the end of the day, it's okay. You're going to learn a lot. It's a temporary pause. Best is yet to come. When in doubt, zoom out and just look at all the things that are going good for yourself. Change your language, come out better, and you're good. Then you get to teach someone else how to do the same. That's what we need.
Yep. So
that's my advice.
So good. And so awesome. So Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'll make sure all the links, again, if someone wants to find you on Instagram right now, they can go to.
I'm everywhere. This is the Cobweb, guys. I'm everywhere. They come out better. I'll just drop it real quick. She'll put it, I'm sure, in the bio. But come out better on Instagram. That's my main page. And then I call them fractals. So on Instagram, I have Come Out Hydrated, which I just launched today. That's going to talk about the water we mentioned earlier. I have Come Out Winning, which if you want to look to partner or work with me in a high ticket business with holistic health products, with an amazing company, amazing opportunity, that'll be more there. I have the Cobcast, _Cobcast. So I just post for literally perfect timing of this. Everything is being posted just starting today on these other pages. And then my last one is Come Out Wealthier. So that's financial literacy and crypto. That's on Instagram, Facebook, just Chris O'Brien, X app, Come Out Better, YouTube, Come Out Better, Threads, Come Out Better, TikTok _ Come Out Better, Telegram, Come Out Better. And the O and out is a Q. That's more of like the truth and the things that are a little more censored at times. And then my website is comeoutbetter.com. My crypto course, comeoutwealthier.com. And then to work with me, comeoutwinning.com. So that's the web. And then my podcast, the Cobcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. But that's the web that I've always wanted to create. And that's where you can, in a good way, get stuck in it. And come out better with me, get caught in the cobweb. So that's where you can find me. We'll put that all below. But this was great. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap on another episode of And Then I Did This, celebrating the lives of those who've walked away from the beaten path to pursue work and a life that nourishes their soul. If you're feeling inspired and ready to explore your own path to freedom, check out youcanbefree.life, where you'll find resources and support to help you break free and live life on your own terms. See you next time.